Welcome, everyone, to this episode of Awakening Dragons. And I'm so excited and pleased to have Fabienne and Delsol with me. And just as a quick introduction, Fabienne is a shadow integrator and light language channel and activator. She's an ancient being, supporting the divine remembrance of self to those who are awakening to their multi-dimensional mastery. And Del Sol is also a channeler, an astral projector, as well as an experienced energy healer. He is an ancient light language activator and multidimensional healer and facilitator. So I am sure that there's going to be lots of magic. And I know that today we've gathered to talk about ancient remembrance. And I actually met these beautiful beings in an ancient remembering course. And so I actually want to have them speak to you a little bit about ancient remembrance, why it's relevant for us, for all of us, and why now. And I'm sure that we're going to do a little transmission and help us in that process of remembering and whatever magic comes through. So, Fabian, how would you describe ancient remembrance? How are you today? And how is that feeling alive in you today?
Good morning. I'm going to pass this one to Del Sol because the reason why was able to remember my ancient oneness with self is because of Del Sol. So I think Del Sol is probably more equipped to begin in the origins of this conversation. So please, Del Sol.
Well, thank you, Fabian. I am truly honored to be in this space with both of you. To speak in the ancient ones at a time that we are evolving in the space of humanity. As you know, in many of the indigenous cultures, there was a calling and a saying that one day the ancient ones would rise again, and that time now is now. Many of us have traversed many dimensions, many realms to be in this space now to usher in anew for humanity, a remembrance of the old ways that we are here to teach and to recall those ancient aspects, the tribal aspects. There were a time when we used to gather in a circle and settle our differences in a circle, and we sat as equals. And that time has come and gone, and we have lost our way through this three-dimensional existence. We have truly lost our way and lost touch with who we truly are. And that is, again, the remembrance of the most ancient aspect of ourselves through our heart space. Before there was sound, vibrations and frequencies, words became distorted and our ways were lost. So each of us is here right now in this now moment, and many more awakening to the vastness and the knowledge and the wisdom that they have within that heart space to come forward and teach the old ways to the new. Because now, in this time, it is very much needed. The sacredness, the togetherness, the oneness, the connectedness of it all. We all stream a different frequency, and the frequency adds to the whole. We all bring a piece of the puzzle with us in our energetic stream. So, calling forth the ancient ones to form that circle once more strengthens each and every one of us as we step forward. More will come and join and be seen to the sacredness of who we truly are as the builders, the creators, the innovators, the ones who hold space and bring forth beauty and oneness in this space. Because now humanity sits on the precipice of its very own evolution, and we are here to bring forth our essence, to add to this monumental eclipsing of the whole as an ancient ones. That's what we're here to do. As each one steps forward, and more will come.
God, so much wisdom just in that. I can just feel all the tingles in the body. Now, I find it beautiful and so true, like both of you have mentioned that multidimensional aspect, even in the bios and obviously, in the work together. And in my experience of that Ancient Remembrance course, it was like so vast, that word you use, vast. It was like that experience of self is just this vastness, like so big beyond what my mind had already had awareness of and consciousness. And so you speak a lot about circle, Delsol, and I know Fabienne also does a lot of circle work. So how would you say, and this is for either of you, the circle work or the coming together is different with this aspect of really calling in the ancient ones? Because many people work with spirit, many people are coming together in circle and talk about unity and our remembrance, but can we talk a little bit more of what are the ancient beings? Who are the ancient ones?
So I guess the first step is the remembrance of coming together in circle to allow that equilibrium to be reestablished. Because we talk a lot about, we are one and that we are all unique in that oneness and that everybody has their own uniqueness and magic to contribute. But I don't think we really understand that. So the more and more that we can gather in circle and really recognize each other as equals, yet and equally important in our contribution into the web of consciousness, that each one of us is an integral point of consciousness, then we truly start to rise in our divinity, to know who we are truly at the core of who we are. Now, you mentioned the vastness of our remembrance. We're not here to remember all of it. That's not the point. We're here to remember that, yes, we are vast in that expanse of all the ways in which our soul has traversed. But we are here specifically in our own uniqueness to remember certain aspects of that ancient remembrance. And the ancient remembrance brings the mastery of that which we have already mastered in our ancient self. And at this time of great transformation and change, that mastery is needed, right? Just like we are seeking counsel from guides, from teachers, from ones who have come before us to really hold us in that guidance, to say, here, I hold you in your alignment, in your integrity, so that you can really know the bounds of who you are. And that may be contradictory, to know the bounds of all that you are. But the bounds of all that you are is, again, the mastery that you have. Work within the uniqueness of the mastery that you are. And that's what we're here to do. We're not here to, do what the other person's doing because it makes more money or it seems glamorous. And a lot of us seem to be drawn to that. It's very easy to be drawn to that. But we're here to hold the lines within ourselves and really remember that ancient magic, the ancient mystery that we are, that allows us to really coalesce within and create anew, right? We have the foundations, but we are here to create anew. So when we gather in this way, the foundations are so incredibly strong, and it gives ourselves and it gives each other the momentum to truly create what we're desiring in the new age. And I think this conversation is so potent, when we are now in the wood dragon year, the new lunar year. So happy Lunar New Year to all of the listeners and watchers. I greet you with deep love, with deep appreciation for you arriving fully in all that you are and the fire that you are. And I hope that this podcast or this conversation can really spark a memory of the depth of that creative essence that you're here to bring, because it's a truly exciting time, even though it is incredibly challenging as a human to navigate it.
Yeah, you've got that right. The human self, and I don't want to say the human self gets in the way. It's not that at all, but it's really that human experience and all that we go through. I love what you're sharing about the birthing and the mastery and just that unique piece of what we bring. I just had a big circle this weekend, which was a drum making experience, which isn't just about making a drum. but it really emphasized that part of we're each here to bring just one unique piece. Even if it's that story you share, the healing you share was about really coming together and always feeling like everyone is going to be there. Everyone's thing is welcome and needed, you know? Like there were a lot of human stories and triggers of feeling left behind, not feeling on time, getting too fast. I'm like, we're all going to end at the same time and come and open the circle together and close the circle together. So it was a really, really beautiful time. And you spoke about creation. So this is the one I actually birthed. And I was telling Fabian just before, there were 7 people in the workshop, but actually mine was the 8th drum. And it's, 2024, year of 8. And I actually redid it, rebirthed it, because this was in another drum, rebirthed it in red to symbolize the blood, to symbolize the womb of creation. So that links, very nicely with that. And so where would one begin in the ancient remembrance work? I think we're going to probably do a little bit of a transmission to activate, but how would people even begin that journey of wanting to know more about the ancient remembrance and beings?
I think we always have to meet ourselves where we are first, because it's through that deep acknowledgement, that deep acceptance, and that deep love for where you are, how you are, why you are, and all that you are, that journey begins. And then it's kind of like reverse engineering it, right? You kind of move backwards through it. So what I've observed more and more in the way that our lives play out and the way that we allow ourselves to play in our life is that everything that happens here is merely an echo of what has happened across the galaxy, across the cosmos. It is merely an echo. So a lot of the galactic conflicts, a lot of the galactic creation, a lot of the galactic alliances that have happened or are still happening are merely projected here in this realm, on this earthly realm, for us to experience outside of the context of what the galactic frame of reference might be. So that's why a lot of the conflicts that we experience, amongst ourselves, within ourselves, it is merely just conflict that is already happening, the karmic stuff, I suppose, if you want to call it, that is already inherent within us that we bring through. And this is part of the remembrance process. People don't want to, when they're doing their work, they want to be, the big star seed, the dragon rider, I don't know, the princess or priestess of Lemuria and all of that stuff. And we have access to all of it. However, it all starts with our humanity. It starts with humanity first. That is the portal and gateway to all things. So the more that we can embrace who we are in our humanity, through our emotions, through all of the ways that life is bringing us together, right? Individually and collectively, that is how we truly access our ancient remembrance.
Can you add to that, Delsol?
Absolutely. Yeah, I can. Thank you, Fabian. It is, once you coalesce and you bring humanity together, it is allowing oneself to truly honor the space that you're in. And when you're honoring the space that you're in, you learn how to honor others and the resources and the choices that they make, and you honor their emotions without judgment. And that is the most sacred thing one can do, that we can stand here in a circle and honor each other in whatever they choose, and we'll be okay. We're here to support each other in our choices, whether we're mourning, whether we're creating joy or doing a conflict. It is here so we can truly understand and support the circle. With our unique experiences, we have all mastered different things. So if Fabian is seeing me doing something in her remembrance, she's like, oh man, I'm gonna lock this in. I might need this for the future. and she'll incur something along the same lines, she's going to recall how I maneuvered through it, and she'll add to it for future remembrances for others to come. And that's how sacred the circle is, the support and honoring each other through our journey, because we're all here to walk each other home, right?
And I'll call him out too.
Yes, she will. Time and time again.
But isn't
Time
that a
and time
beautiful
again.
thing? When we are in circle and when we feel maybe the safety with each other as well, that we're able to call each other out. We're able to say, hey, let's just bring it back a notch to humanity or wherever. Like, I find that such, the kookaburras outside are laughing and agreeing. It's so important that we are human and remember that we're not just, as Fabian said, the priestess of this and, the galactic whatever. And it's like, right, but let's be human together. We have chosen to come into this human experience. And so on that note of, needing to really be with our humanity, what can we advise? What can we share with people on not to get carried away with wanting to be over there, wanting to be in their galactic and multidimensional selves? Because they see that, right? There's a lot more out there now on the starseed this and the, whatever multidimensional, 5, 6, 7, whatever dimension you're supposedly accessing. What can we share with people to help them really trust that they are exactly where they should be?
I think, as Fabian said, is honoring yourself, that we are all these aspects. However, it is through the bringing through of the mastery, because we've all done certain things out there in different worlds and different dimensions. So our mastery is needed here in this now moment. For everything that we've done, we can pull through the energetic streams and be in this present moment, building and creating and moving through each other and each other's spaces, and assisting in such a way that we can truly bring that multidimensional aspect forward in this world, in this dimension, and carry it through, not only for ourselves, but for each other. It is here, and I'll say this now, it is like the younger generation will always surpass the one that came before it. So we have a duty to our younger generation to instill the new pathways that are forming, not only in ourselves, but in others, and the communities that are forming because of this newfound newness that I'll say, but I was just oldness, but it's the newness now, and they can pick up where we left off for the future generations. And that's how we've done it in other worlds, where the world is on the precipice of evolution, and we come in and we create that starting point, a focal point for humanity right now to move forward from.
I think when people get caught up with the ancient remembrance and the remembrance of all of the ways in which they have been, just take, for instance, Priestess of Lemuria, right? It's very exciting to remember that part of you, that multidimensional aspect of you who holds so much magic, who holds so much power. But the point is, in a human body, you're not here to embody who the Priestess of Lemuria was or is, right? You are here to be fully embodied in your human self. I'm here to be Fabiene Lui, right? You are creating a new, unique avatar that is always evolving and transforming. The mastery that you are remembering from these ancient aspects of self, Priestess of Lemuria, what was the loving wisdom? What was the mastery from your remembrance of the Priestess of Lemuria that you are here to embody? Not that you are here to embody being the Priestess of Lemuria. There's a difference. So the mastery that comes from these multidimensional aspects of self seeds into you to create more luminescence in your light being, what we are practicing here in the earthy realm is how we are embodying more and more of our light. The more that we can practice that, and you know this very well through your Qigong practice, Katara, the more that we can embody our light, the more of ourselves turn on, right? The more of our DNA, our physical DNA turns on to give us that vibrancy and health and vitality. And the more of our activation within our light bodies turn on to really allow ourselves to become magical and powerful in a human body.
That's
So
right.
the more that we can continue to view our human selves, our humanity as greatly potential in its power, right? The more that we can encompass more of that mastery within, and we then become these really massive celestial giants of light that we once were and that we are evolving to. I believe that's the
Yeah.
point.
Yes. Yes, more of us coming online. I definitely have felt, and I think we probably need to touch upon the light language and how that, weaves into this. In that remembrance and in the work that I've done with both of you, it literally feels like points, in the network or in the blueprint, whatever you want to call it, literally that light up and that all form, almost like neural pathways, they all connect back into one another, and it keeps expanding and feathering out, into that vastness. And with that, it feels like for me is with more of the light coming in, it informs my human self of, and why do I care? Why do I care that I remember, what my dragon self is? Because people, as we say, we're fascinated by those realms. We love being a dragon rider and the priestesses of whatever. But my thing is, and I come from a very pragmatic, very practical, very left brain background, corporate chartered accountant. Okay. And so there's a lot of practicality that I want to bring into, okay, so how does that help me live? How does that help me to be a better human being? And having those things come online, there's the insights, I guess, that come to express that mastery as well for myself in my remembering, which, is still is ongoing. Okay, so shall we talk a little bit about light language? I think that that's probably important, and I'm sure that we can talk heaps about it, but let's just, high level, why, both of you and all of us actually use light language. So let's share a little bit about that. Delsol, how did light language come to you? How do you use it in this remembrance, in the healing, in the activation process? For those who are not familiar with it or still have a lot of skepticism about it.
Light language, we come in with our own energetic signature, our voice, that carries us through the many incarnations that we've had, the many worlds that we've been to. It is a point where I was inquiring about light language, and I sat into meditation, and I realized I was in the center of the universe, and all these galactic symbols came streaming in at me, to me, from all directions. And I was in a sphere, and they were ingrained in my skin and my DNA, my bones. I could see all these symbols and attached. After that meditation, I was in the shower and I started speaking. And I remember as a child, I was speaking the same language and same dialect, but that's always someone as, oh, you're speaking gibberish. So now I embodied that, and over the years I cultivated and I kept stepping into and owning it. This is my first language that I know. And with that, I can say something to an entire crowd, and it is so multidimensional, so multi-layered, that they will each get a different message from it. Some will see geometrical shapes, some will be taken to a specific place that they remember, that they recall, and some will receive a warm hug. Others may have a huge heart opening experience that brings them to tears. It is the voice of my soul, my essence. And when I speak directly to the heart. I bring the heart's essence, my heart's essence, to the forefront, and I allow that to speak for itself. And I own that each and every day. Wherever I go, I will speak. Like, I don't care who you are or where you are. If there's a message that needs to come through, I will speak. And people will look at me as like, what? That's not for you. That's for your heart. You will remember when the time comes. And they'll each have, when they see me again, it was like, I remember now, I had that. And they'll tell me exactly when and where, what transpired. And I would smile and I would say, it's good to see you again. And it is the beauty in honoring and owning those skills. I said the same thing to Fabian there when we sat together to speak, and it was an honor when I heard the response, because the frequency and the vibration, it brings through a remembrance unlike anything you can experience.
Yeah, it's really beautiful when we can speak heart to heart in that way. And I like to describe light language as the harmonics of your soul, because in the way that we have journeyed with our soul, we have so many experiences, but the experiences that allow us to really rise in our own loving wisdom is what I believe creates a tone or frequency of vibration, a very specific one that sits active, in the fathoms of your heart, in your sacred heart, that when blended with the other harmonics of your soul through your loving wisdom, the accumulation of your loving wisdom, what expresses then is the beauty of that which you see in movement of light language, in vocals of light language, whether it be through, linguistics or toning or even singing, or through the scribing and drawings and paintings of your soul's expression, highest expression. So, and there's many other ways in which we are remembering to express our light language as well. It's not just those, three sort of forms, but as we seek different ways, more truthful and authentic ways to express ourselves, collectively, I truly believe that's why light language is coming more and more to the forefront of how we are choosing to express ourselves, because it's the most freedom that we can experience through those forms. Sometimes we don't have the words for it, of what we're wanting to express in our heart. There are no words because our words are linear, but our movement, our scribing and our drawings and our vocals that we can bring through can with much more clarity can convey the heart song.
Yeah. And so I've heard both of you speak often, and it really feels like there's how can I say? It sounds stable, like it's the same sounds, if that makes sense. So when we are remembering our soul language, when we're remembering ourselves, and Fabienne has heard me evolve and play with different things. How does that work? Is it just one language? Are people tuning into different frequencies and then expressing it differently in the light language? Is that different than actually your own language? Do you know what I mean? Because I don't feel like, for example, mine is stable yet. It doesn't always sound the same. In fact, it never sounds the same. It's still playing over here and playing over there. So if people are having it come up for themselves and are starting to experiment with their gibberish or soul language, what does that mean? Does it find a stability?
I think it does tend to land in a certain frequency, because, like I said, the mastery that we're here to experience and embody sometimes quite specific, right? So because we've experienced ourselves in so many ways, we can't embody and remember it all. It's too much for a human body. So when we contract to come into a human body, we hit certain frequencies or certain remembrances of self that become much more dominant as you kind of unravel and evolve through your life journey, that become more settled in its resonance for you, right?
Mm.
So that's when you start to notice that you will be more comfortable or more expressive in the full spectrum of those harmonics, and you'll start to hear that it sits or sounds like a certain way. And I certainly have experienced that in my own evolution of my light language expressions. The more I remembered of myself, the more I settled into a particular language, so to speak. So that's why everybody's language is going to sound very different, because everybody's soul harmonics are so incredibly different. So depending on what you're here to bring through in your own mastery, and in your most, I guess, comfortable sort of ways, is where you'll land with your expression, whatever that may be, whatever form that may be.
Mm. And Delsol, since your initial, seeing of the codes and in the shower moment, have you also seen your language evolve and change and come to a landing place?
From the beginning, yes, it has changed and it has evolved. However, the more we step forward and acknowledge that aspect of ourselves, that evolution will come to a standpoint where I'm standing in my truth. I'm standing in my full authenticity, and I am accepting all of who I am, and that voice will stabilize and stream through.
Mm. Powerful. And may we all stand in our truths and be aligned to universal truths. So it feels, shall we do a little activation, transmission, and see and invite the ancient ones in?
We always love to do that.
I know,
Oh,
like I
yeah.
feel like inside it's like coming up. It's like, okay, it's time, it's time. Yeah. All right. And so for all our listeners to take a deep breath in, allow your eyes to close if that feels good, and to really listen with the heart. Listen from that soul with the ears of your soul, and be permissive and allowing for whatever parts of you are here to activate and to be reconnected with a remembrance. Uwe yasa. Uriatatiasa. Eyasu. Tatatatatatatataratiasatu. Ariantasi antokue. Ashiata.
Hasoro toro tonoto otonchi is orotonku rete e to on. Korehitishni yato on suruto orne heshe ete eta ato o hutu hurutun surutu uwan tata shereheton koton se serehe shurutun tuihi yatikata tarahaton tere eton tu hur an te ot or nehete che eton Hutun sukushi it antere heto shi ets arate eto oi si kate eto u futun sisi shiri tu rehetene hekai arata.
Sombara tehia rasunda taravai, hordini kirasanda sharan, do furtimi hanaki asar. There is space for you in sacred circle. Daratumbaras, ruundatia hara makiara namati. Allow yourself to open into your heart space. Darandaruase, ruundatur nimiana karam. And let the divine blueprint that lies within guide you and move you to your unique place. Gurunda tarda basi, shurunda tara hatumukarai, handa tarak inesa. And know that that is your unique place, that you are allowed. Give yourself permission to take that place, to be seen, to be heard, to be received, and deeply experience. Kurunda shiarta maharda maye, raandu sudana kure saai, hai se durunda tiahai, landu sura vebe, raandu sura tabiana, and be at peace, knowing that you have come home.
Haton so to shoroho ton tu hu ton seterehe kanando roto oton chi it orte etenian neto oshisika wato hu ton tia.
And let all the pieces of that to just weave into the field, weave right into the center of center, into your heart of hearts. And may all the pieces land and activate and arise in divine timing. Arya Santiawe Sutariantahom Sariantansu Weyahu Antensu Harian so, Harian so, Harian Ansu. The ancient ones in us see the ancient ones in you. Huh? Oh, that was so magical. I felt I felt like it was, with all the hand movements and stuff, it was almost like I can see the things unlocking, whatever it is. It's like that knowing of, oh, he's just opened that door and opened that universe. And it was just like the when you open a watch and it's like all cogs and machinery. It just feels like, let's just tinker here, open here, move here, and weave here, and just allowing all of that to flow through. What came through for you? What did it feel like? I'm sure every activation feels differently for you guys when you do it. Any messages in particular?
I think the message that Fabian brought through was right on point, as for everyone and as for me. It is the gentle reminder that we are of service to each other in that allowance, and being here supporting each other to continue to step forward and be seen. Bring forth the most vulnerable aspect of yourself, and in doing so, you honor yourself and honor others as they step forward. Embrace your light, let it shine.
There are many ways in which we have restricted ourselves to know who we are, not only to know who we are, but to give ourselves permission to know and deeply accept that we are powerful beyond imagination. So quite often when we call to the ancient ones to take their place, there's almost a reluctance that comes in that goes, who am I? Who am I to be so powerful? Who am I to really allow this, right? Because of all of the things I have done or not done. I think the time has come where we must give ourselves the deep grace and compassion of self, firstly. The way I like to talk to myself and to offer recommendations on how you can navigate yourself too is you always have an opportunity to reframe your current situation, right? And it needn't be a massive reframing. Quite often, when people think about, especially manifestation, you go from here to 1,000 in a second. It doesn't happen like that unless you already have the mastery of self. Be gentle, be compassionate means the opportunity is nuanced. It can be a small pivot, away from where you are. And sometimes that small pivot, that nuanced movement is all that it takes to shift into a much bigger current. But you must give yourself that opportunity and that the reframe of mind, body, and soul to really open into that. So when we're talking about mastery, that is the mastery too, the mastery of the moment to moment, right? Out of that will arise amazing wisdom that we don't even think as wisdom sometimes. But it's that moment to moment wisdom that arises in that opportunity to love yourself enough to reframe who you are in more positive and expansive light that gives you the momentum to really truly keep going forward.
Yeah. And the point you're saying about feeling worthy of this, as I began or deepened into this journey as well, there was a lot of that came up for me. It's like, who am I? Can I do this again? And all of those came up in feelings in that very human self, like we've worked through grief or, worthiness and acceptance and love. And it's like, it all shows up in very human ways. So again, I guess a reminder that yes, we're working on multidimensional and galactic themes, because it is there for all of us, but it will just show up as it does in very human emotions, human energies in motion. And to just be that and just be there and allow that to happen. And Delsol, anything you want to add to that?
No, I think she said it all. For everyone is to really show up in your authenticity and give yourself grace. Give yourself grace and understanding and space to really bring true those dreams and understand that this is not it. There are many aspects to us that we don't even know that are still streaming forth through our mastery. Every day we wake up, we are waking with a newness, a newfound revelation of we are constantly becoming. The whole death and rebirth is a constant thing. And understand that, yeah, there's beauty in becoming.
The beauty of becoming. So how can people be in touch with you? Are you both doing Ancient Remembrance course again? What are the ways that people can connect with you to go deeper if they feel a particular resonance? Delsol, I think I've seen you having a monthly container. Is that right? What's your offering there?
There's on my website, intuitive-soul.com, there's a monthly, bi-weekly sacred circle that I held. It's at $33 every month, and it's 1 hour every other Wednesday. Actually, it's going to be moved to every other Thursday. And show up. We hold space and ask as many questions as you can. There are a lot of ancient beings there holding space right now. So we look forward to increasing the circle and come and join us. I'm also curating a tribal solar retreat in Mena, Arkansas for the solar eclipse that's coming in April 6th to the 8th in Mena, Arkansas. And that too is on my website as well. And
Awesome.
you can
And I will
also,
share all of Delsol's links.
okay, good. You can also reach me on Instagram at intuitive_soul.
Fabienne, where can people find you and work with you?
Currently, I'm offering one-to-one coaching to delve deep into your shadow integration, to come into the harmonics of your soul and what culminates in your light language activation and forms of expression. So I am taking on, there are a few availabilities starting in April for that mentorship. I am doing a lot of in-person work in Melbourne, Australia as well. I'm doing various festivals this year. So all of that is available on my IG links and Facebook links. But Delsol and I will be doing Ancient Remembrance again, I think in April, with still talking on how we can align our human time.
Yeah.
Yes, the human schedule.
We span, from Melbourne, Australia to Melbourne, Florida. So yeah, we will post all of that once we get the dates aligned, because it's something that we truly passionate about and we love doing it. We love working together, collaborating in this deep harmony and calling back the tribe. So stay tuned.
Mm. And so in Ancient Remembrance, I mean, does it ever really end? Do you get somewhere, or can we continue cycling and circling in that work?
Absolutely. I think the thing to discern through all of this ancient remembrance is, what are you remembering for entertainment and what are you remembering for mastery? So
Mm.
no different to people doing past life regressions or doing any of that kind of spiritual delving into your soul remembrance. We have a lot of questions, who have I been? What have I done? Things like that. But is it really ripe to help you in your evolution of self? Or is it just
Mm.
for a curiosity, to satisfy an itch and a curiosity? I think that is the thing that we need to ask ourselves when we're doing this work. Because of course, there are so many warrens in which we can, explore, and so many rabbit holes that we can disappear into. And it's all beautiful. It all has a purpose, but it can also be a distraction.
Mm. But then is it curiosity that, like we follow that white rabbit down the holes and whatnot, but it's always been my curiosity that has allowed me to come to some remembrances and masteries. Like if people weren't curious, they also wouldn't try anything. So I guess it's also a balance of what are you going to do with that information after you find out you're a priestess of Lemuria. And this is by no way, like thank you to all the priestesses of Lemuria. Okay, we're just using that as an example. I love my Lemurian lineage, just to be clear.
I'm from Lemuria too. No diss here.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So with love, we say that, right? To our Lemurian
An
lineage.
example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Beautiful.
it is
So,
no, go ahead. Go
did you
ahead.
want to
You're good.
say something, Delsol?
I know.
All right. So it sounds like April is going to be a very powerful month for retreat, for ancient remembrance. Fabian and I are also doing a collaboration at the end of April. So if you're in the Melbourne or Victoria area, we'll be drumming through time. It will be an ancestral journey and the drum making immersive. So that will be our first time collaboration, and I'm super excited as well. And again, just reinforcing that part of each of us have a piece to bring, and so let us remember and let us come as equals and let us come in our mastery and have fun. Let's be human, let's be galactic, let's be multidimensional and have fun doing it. So that's kind of my last words. Is there anything else you'd like to share with listeners before we sign off for today in this moment?
We could
Yeah.
talk hours, but thank you for the opportunity to speak in this way and to share what we're here to bring remembrance to, and to all of the sacred tribes that we're reuniting and calling forth. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having this space. One thing, very important thing, remember to have fun. Let that inner child play. And it is through the inner child that we bring through the greater remembrance of who we are. Let's have fun.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so well said. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you both for your service work, for your mastery, for your facilitation, and all that you be. I'll see you very soon.